We've got plenty more confirmations on the Z Fold 6, as well as the first look at what could be the real deal, so make sure you hit subscribe now and we'll get right into it. So first up, we've got a tweet from Ice Universe, and it says, "Exclusive, this is the new camera detail design of the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Now there's a couple of things to mention here. Number one is that he mentions a new design and doesn't say that it's necessarily going to be an upgraded camera. And number two, this definitely isn't a real image of the Z Fold 6's camera. If you translate the bottom left, it says generated by AI. We can also see that from the symbol, but it could be the case that Ice Universe has seen the real thing and used AI to help him create this for illustration purposes. Now next up, we've got a tweet from reliable display analyst Ross Young, and he says that there's going to be a Samsung Fold 6 Slim, and it's going to be released in Q4 of this year, and it's thought to have a bigger display, also be much slimmer, but it won't support an S Pen. Now Ross Young tends to be very accurate when it comes to any leaks around a display, and we've previously had reports of an Ultra Fold 6 as well as a budget one, so this is probably where all of the confusion has come from, and it's neither a budget or an Ultra, and it's just going to be slightly different. Now other reports are claiming that it's also going to be at a similar price point, so it seems the case that it's just going to be for a consumer choice, and those who don't want an S Pen can have a thinner and larger display, although what does seem strange is a release in Q4 could affect sales of the Z Fold 6 in July. Next up, we've got news that both models of the Fold 6 are going to be getting an upgrade to the ultra-thin glass of the folding display, and Ice Universe advises that according to testers, the Z Fold 6 is going to reduce the creasing in the center of the display. And then we've also got another report from the Elec, and they say that Samsung's ultra-thin glass is going to be increasing from 30 microns thick all the way to 50 microns thick, and this is a big improvement. Not only does it reduce creasing in the center of the display, but it also adds to the durability, and this along with a brighter, more accurate display means that this could be by far Samsung's best foldable display yet. Next up, we've got another tweet from Ice Universe that gives us the first look at the new Z Fold 6, and he's given us this image here which only shows us the top of the new smartphone, but it does show us a different design to the Fold 5 with a flatter display and sharper edges at the corners. It also shows us a wider cover screen than the Fold 5, and this of course falls in line with the images that he shared last week of the Fold 6's screen protectors. Now it's important to note here that this isn't a real image. If we look closely, there are multiple areas which have slight deformations, and this leads me to believe that it is actually a Z Fold 5 that's been photoshopped to look like the Fold 6, and it's simply being used as an illustration. Next up, we've also got unfortunate news that Samsung could be hiking the prices for both the Z Fold 6 and the Flip 6, and we could also see a different launch date. The report comes from Tech Maniacs, and they say that the launch is not going to be on July 10th, and it's actually going to be pushed back until July the 24th, and the reason is because Samsung plans on sponsoring the Summer Olympics, and they want it to fall in line. Now it also says that we can expect a $100, €100 or 100 GBP increase on the Z Fold 6 cost compared to last year, which is never good news, but to be fair, I'm not surprised given the increase of component costs across the board. Now to be honest though, I'm not familiar with this publication at all, so I can't vouch for their credibility in any way, so take it with a grain of salt for now. Now of course, we do have plenty of upgrades with the Fold 6 in terms of the software and the hardware, and if there is an introduction of a Fold 6 Slim with a larger and thinner display, then it's great that the consumer now gets more choice. But for those of you excited for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6, we're now going to run through the full specs, design, and the expected pricing to help you guys decide if it is worth the wait. So hit subscribe now and we'll get right into it. So with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6, we get a 7.6-inch foldable 120Hz dynamic AMOLED display. While it's the same size as its predecessor, we're expecting improvements in brightness, color accuracy, as well as durability. It's coming with a resolution of 1812 by 2176, and it's going to be protected by Samsung's newest ultra-thin glass. Now there's also going to be less visible creasing in the center of the new foldable display, as well as water and dust resistance. For the external display, we get a 120Hz dynamic AMOLED protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 3. It's going to be a 6.2-inch display, and while the current resolution is unknown at the moment, Samsung are reportedly working on a much wider aspect ratio, and we're also going to see improvements to the brightness and color accuracy, and it will of course have a punch-hole camera in the top center. Now the selfie cameras are going to be a 10-megapixel wide-angle camera on the cover display, followed by a 4-megapixel under-display camera on the internal retinal display. Then over on the rear, it's a 50 megapixel primary camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical zoom. Now it's actually the same camera system used in the predecessor, but hopefully we will still see some improvements thanks to the software. It's going to be powered up by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 globally, and we get 12GB of RAM with up to 1TB of storage, and this will of course be UFS 4.1. It's coming with a 4400 mAh battery, and while fast charging is still currently unknown, we're hoping for improvements to both wired as well as wireless charging. In terms of connectivity, we get advanced 5G, Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 7, and then we also get ultra-wideband support, and it's coming with One UI 6 based on Android 14, and it's expected to launch from $1,850 in August 2024. So overall, the Z Fold 6 is looking like another minor upgrade to the Fold series, and again, they're focusing on software, user experience, rather than completely redesigning the phone. But the upgrades that we do get are important ones, and if we are to see two Folds in the lineup, then that's also a big change. The new form factor is going to be a refreshing change. It's going to be interesting to see how consumers react to it, but personally I would have liked to see just a little bit more width to the display. Although maybe that's where the Z Fold 6 Slim comes in and it's going to fill the gap. Now, given its similarities from the predecessor, I can't imagine anyone with a 5 is going to be rushing for an upgrade, but if you've got an older Fold or looking to get your first Fold, then it could be a great choice. Now, with launch fast approaching, the leaks are going to continue to come in, and I'm going to be sharing them as soon as they do, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing in the future.